Hey guys, Daniel Gourley here from 5 Words Media, and I am super excited because I'm here with my friend Ryan Haberman from Forecast Consoles. Ryan, thanks for letting me come hang out in your space.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for letting us be a part of FreeChurchAV. We're super excited.
All right, very cool. Yes, as you have just pointed out, you are a gold sponsor for Season 4 of FreeChurchAV. And guys, we have been in this place literally all day, taking video, film, capturing what these guys do. It is amazing. And I gotta say, you're like the Willy Wonka of furniture. I feel like we've got like a wall of everything you can imagine behind here. And we're gonna get to that in a second, but it's pretty awesome. So far, so good. So, all right, Ryan, I want you, and we always ask this question, I want you to describe your company, Forecast Consoles, in 5 words.
So 5 words furniture.
5 words furniture.
All right, that's 3 words, but
yeah, so 5 words. I know it's like a little bit of a challenge, but it's kind of our thing.
Cool furniture made by people.
All right, cool furniture made by people. All right, so that was like succinct. Why don't you expand on that? Like, what do you guys do as a company, and what value do you guys propose for the church?
So the reason I say furniture made by people is that it really is. Like, as you guys got to experience today, it is actually made by people. We have some machine assistants, but predominantly everything is actually like cut to size and assembled and tested here in our shop. You're not
shipping stuff from overseas and doing stuff.
No,
you're like building it here.
We have some great partners, especially on the metal side of things, so we don't do our own metal work. But we do have great partners that we work with throughout the U.S. But our people do all the final cuts, all the final fit, and all the final assembly before shipping. So every person's project gets built completely out in real life to make sure, hey, this is going to actually work when it arrives.
That's cool.
Fingers crossed. Sometimes we have, things happen, but
things happen in production, but that's why we roll with it.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, we make furniture to fit people's spaces, and I think when I say fit people's spaces, that's both aesthetically fit, physically fit. We hope sometimes architects like to throw us curveballs. So do general contractors.
That wall is not supposed to be there.
When you get the wall stretcher out, just push really hard. But also fit the functionality and the workflow that people need, right? Yeah. So what a small congregation's front of house console may look very different from a true control room for someone who's broadcasting to, tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, absolutely. We build broadcast systems that have, one person manning everything, and then we have ones that are 5, 6, 7 people that are manning different functions of that system. So that furniture is going to look graphically different than somebody else's. So, all right, we'll get into that a little bit more. I want to hear some backstory. I want you to spill the tea and talk about how you first heard about 5 Words Media and how you first heard about FreeChurchAV. Cool.
So I was actually at Church Facilities Expo.
Yep.
This was
CFX.
Last year, right? Yes,
yep,
last year. And a mutual friend who just knew us was like, hey, here's this cool guy. He does this cool thing. I think you would be the right fit for this. I think it would be something you're interested in. Do you want to do this? And they kind of gave me the backstory, and I'm like, I love that. I love the idea of helping people. I love the idea of helping, grow our, outreach into the community, specifically the house of worship community. So I was like, cool, we should meet. And you were so busy that I kid you not, this was the best part. So, Colin, this is the true story. He comes by my booth with a suitcase and a bag.
Running out the door.
Out the door. He's like, I have 3 minutes before I have to leave for my flight. He's like, I'm Daniel. This is what I do. Do you want to, and I was like, I love it. Yes, sold.
Yes, sold.
It was the fastest sales pitch of your entire life.
The fact that you have no time for me just really sold it. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think it's also important. So, Jeremy Bagwell is the mutual friend, and we affectionately call him Bags, is how we call him. And the fact that he recommended us and you still went through with it,
oh, no.
I mean, that's amazing.
Oh, no. So, maybe I have a different interpretation. Okay,
Jeremy's great. We just make fun of him all
the time. I don't know.
So, Jeremy from Ross. So you guys obviously have that connection, and I'm assuming that there's a lot of furniture out there that have Ross switchers and other manufacturers, but a lot of Ross switchers in your desk.
Yep.
So, well, I want to ask this question. I kind of alluded to it before. You said, cool furniture made by people, and you even talked about fitting in spaces. I feel like everything here is custom. Like, I know you have some different SKUs and models you go under, but talk a little bit about that. Like, what are the limitations of what you guys can do? And I mean, even are there? Like, have you made like a nuclear reactor in this warehouse?
No, we have not. We've never done that. But we
cold fusion.
I would say it feels like we tried to attempt that a few times.
Right.
So one of the cool things you said, kind of like the Willy Wonka, and it is for me, right? Like this is like literally a kid's dream. Like every time I'm back at my place in Chicago and I'm like working on a project, I'm like, oh man, if I just was at the shop, I could just get whatever. But we have. What I say is we build standards, and by having that standards and that muscle memory to just be really good at these things, it frees up all this bandwidth to be experimental and try new things and really push the envelope of what you're capable of skill level wise, and kind of like what your customers' expectations are, right? So we say that we have standard design conventions and we have standard components. And then we can rearrange that into a multitude of different configurations. But then we can even take it a step farther and start just doing kind of like weird out of the box things, right? I mean, over the years we've tried so many wild things, and some of them are a success. Well, most of them are dumpster fires.
And I'm sure it's similar to us. Some of the things that are like one-offs then become standard products.
Exactly.
They work so well, and this is very clear what you were talking about, that flexibility and the standards piece when we were going and sitting in design meetings and talking through FreeChurchAV. So we have 2 desks that are going into FreeChurchAV. We have one that's going to become the new front of house audio and lighting desk, and I believe even Pro Presenter is going to be housed there. And then we have a true video broadcast switching console surface. And the fun thing for us was we were literally sitting there talking to you on the phone, and we're like, hey, okay, size limitations, because again, we have walls in the way that we have to deal with, and it's like, okay, we're here and we're about this foot in length and this depth, and you were pulling up like different options, and then immediately popped AutoCAD, and you start placing these things called turrets, which sounds really cool.
I still don't know where that term comes from. I've asked people that have been in the industry for a while, and no one has an answer.
Hey, listen, if I was a church guy, I wanted to sit behind something that had multiple turrets, I'm there. So you're just like, hey, here's turrets, and there's rack spaces built in, and there's all these different things. It was really, really cool. So, I mean, do you do that for every job? You draw out the plan?
Yeah, so to be fair, credit where credit is due. We have some amazing designers that built some really functional block libraries, so I'm just copying and pasting, right? Like my AutoCAD skills are not
You could have been
great.
like, I did it from scratch.
I'm really good at like copy, move, align.
Snap.
Yeah, snaps are great.
Yeah.
To the point where they actually built, I don't know if you noticed, there's like little white plus signs, like where the things go together, so you can't even mess it up. But yeah, no, so we do like a big part of what we do when we talk about fit and people talk about cost a lot of the time, and people are like, what is your most cost-effective product line? And my answer to that always is whatever you need. That's kind of our approach, is it's like, tell us what you need and how we can help, and then we'll figure out what is the most cost-effective way to do that, right? Like our goal is not to sell you the most expensive version of X, it is to what is your actual need, what actually is helpful for you, and then design that, and then that's it.
And that's what's perfect about, like, I'm excited as we keep partnering, not just in FreeChurchAV, but in jobs, we do the same thing, because the most expensive project ever is the one you have to do twice. It's like, if we had just known exactly what we needed on the front end and we did that one time, it would be better than the second sound system or the second video broadcast or the second furniture thing. And at least in church world, what I find is a lot of people don't even think about the furniture. They like drop a countertop in, or they're on like a Costco lifetime table or something like that. And when I describe systems for churches, I'm always thinking what's volunteer friendly, what's easy to use. And for you guys, you do a lot of different things that kind of clean up everything and make it look good. So how does that fit? Like when somebody walks into a forecast console and it's all set up and all the gear's dropped in, what are you prioritizing as like an excellent experience for them?
So I always go, like, there's a couple of different things that I want to touch on there. And the first one is like, what are we prioritizing? And right, there's this amazing scene in Futurama where Bender meets God and he goes, if I've done my job, it looks like no one's done anything at all, right? Like, that's our goal. We want the furniture to be almost just built, like feel like it evaporates into the background, right? Like it's not meant to be the focus. The focus is the operators, it's their gear, it's the screens, right? That being said, part of that is the getting rid of the clutter, getting rid of all of the wires. And then that plays into the second part of this, which is I think mental attitude and mental space makes a huge difference, right? They say that, you know, how your space is affects your ability to focus, affects your ability to take pride in what you do. And I think, like you said, volunteers, right? Most congregations are using volunteer labor. Very 100%. Few are fortunate enough to have full-time staff. And when they come in, you want them to feel excited to be there. You want them to feel proud of their environment, proud of their production, proud of what they're doing.
Well, and I think it's two sides of the same coin. So like guys are obviously building furniture for some of the best in the biz. Like you're literally sitting with people and you're designing spaces that are in arenas and broadcast studios and news stations and all this stuff. And when you're a professional, like you ain't got no time for clutter or something in the way or something doesn't function. When you flip over the coin, you go to the other side. With volunteers in a church ministry, I may get somebody 10 times a year for a weekend. And if it's tough enough for a professional to remember day-to-day kind of things as they move through a production environment, now you put somebody in where their day job is like they're a plumber or they're a school teacher, and then on the weekend they're coming in and they're sitting down and operating this sophisticated broadcast audio system, whatever. So the fact that you set it up and it's clean and everything has a spot in its place and everything's organized, I feel like volunteers really appreciate that because you've gone that extra mile to set it up for them. So that to me is the most important thing about what you guys do. You literally like lay the foundation and groundwork for all the tech that goes into the space.
And I'll take it one step further too with that is like, if you think about what funds these rooms, right? It is congregation. It is the church's money.
Tithe dollars.
Exactly. It is people giving. And I think the hard truth is, you could go in and put in a $10 million video router and the group that gave to that is going to walk in that room. And if you're still on coffee tables right, with, you know, the banquet table with the skirt, they're going to look at it and go, where did our money go? Where if you build that beautiful space that they walk in and they're like, oh my God, this looks like
what we gave money for.
Exactly.
And then people get inspired and they do other things to help lift the church up and make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I have to argue with you on one thing. You said it's functional. We wanted to like go into the background. We don't want it to be showy. You guys do some pretty cool stuff. Okay, so
we do.
Literally, we were just in here, and this is like the secret thing for Free Church, but we were just in here. You guys have etched, you can etch into a surface like logos and like the Free Church AV name, and like that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So like I think that is more towards the like, where are my dollars going, right? Like it's more of a branding thing. And I think really like that is, so when I say it goes away, that's for the actual operators, right? Like we want them to just feel like they're melding into the equipment, right? It's just, it's there. But for the tours, and when you have a visiting pastor, you want them to be like, oh, what a wonderful control room you have here. I would like one of these.
There's the church logo right built in.
Exactly. Or like when there's all the Instagram posts, it's like, oh, I know what that is instantly.
That's very good.
And so that really is like, that's kind of the client internally sales pitchy thing is like, we want to brand this so that everyone knows who we are.
Yeah, no, it's really good and it's quality, and I love the fact that you like engrave it and you can see through like the materials underneath. And then the last thing I just want to point out, like some of the coolest stuff you do is these little rack like power center kind of pieces.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like those are the little things that nobody thinks about. You get in, and I've done it a bunch where it's like we go in and we visit a space that somebody just renovated, and they've got the countertop that, you know, they went down to Home Depot and bought it, and then they've got outlets on the walls or underneath, and all the cables are just everywhere and everything's messed up. You guys have these beautiful rack power centers with USBs and with plugins for regular power and pass-through cabling, and I think you guys just do, those are the little things that I'm noticing since I've been here, is that there's so much history and like knowing how to do something the right way that every product seems to have. So
it comes from a history of doing everything wrong.
1,000 mistakes culminating to
honestly, like the amount,
success.
like for us, like I literally was just, this is a shout out to Mike, who knows who he is if he's seeing this, but he made a point out. He's like, I have integrated their GCX line, which is actually what we're doing for FreeChurchAV.
Right.
And was like, hey, I love in your big consoles, there's this metal wireway, like big metal wireway with rails that are easy to zip tie off to. He's like, you don't have that in GCX. He's like, I would like that. And I'm like, that's a really good idea, right? Like, so we're now working on that, and we'll have a way to add that. And that's really what it comes back to, is that that's the feedback, is like having that relationship with a customer to be like, here's where you're not so great.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's more important than the good stuff.
And we say that all the time when we're working on projects. It's like, here's the difference. Like some churches, they do this thing called self-integrating, where they're like, hey, we could buy the stuff, put it in ourselves. That's great. You may have installed 2 or 3 systems. Maybe if you're like super skilled, it's a dozen systems or whatever. We've built almost 700 churches at this point. And like you, it's like that's 700 sets of unique circumstances, variables, mistakes, partnering with manufacturers, designing, going back, doing what we call postmortems after a job. Hey, what could we have done better? So I think that level of expertise, and then you do a church, like some of the work you guys have shown me is pretty amazing. So
thank you.
I'm excited for us. So Ryan, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for what you're doing for Blue Ridge Chapel in Rocky Mount, Virginia. They are excited about their console. We do have that surprise that we'll show when we like unleash the desk. We're gonna like come in, rip everything apart, send them out, and then we're gonna set everything up. And I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And we're definitely gonna see you there. And it's going to be awesome. So you guys need to pay attention. If you guys want more information about Forecast consoles, you can find them on the web at
forecastconsoles.com.
That's easy. That
Or
was good.
yeah,
you own that, forecastconsoles.com.
I finally bought it. We had the hyphen for a long.
Oh, did you have the hyphen?
The hyphen.
Everybody
man.
loves the hyphen.
We had the hyphen. Our email addresses are still the hyphen.
No, that's okay. That's
Sorry.
okay. Don't worry about it. And then on socials, you guys are on Instagram, right?
We are on Instagram.
Okay, and that's at Forecast Consoles?
Forecast, yeah, no, because it's too long, so it's Forecast Console.
Console.
Singular.
They have more than one. Don't let the Instagram name
Every
fool
time
you.
I give people my email address, I have to be like, plural S. And this is the one time I'm like, no, singular, no S.
Yes, so we will push this out, but yes, it's at Forecast Console on Instagram. Guys, please look them up. They're amazing. The process so far has been awesome. We literally saw this desk get built today. It's going to be amazing. So wait and check us out and see the actual install, and Ryan and I will be being crazy on site.
Yes.
Having fun. We'll be like Oprah. We'll be like, and you get a console, and you get a console, and you get a console.
And we will be sure to not measure wrong and have any saws involved.
I think I joked about that. I was like, hey, you're on site going,
just send a router and a table. Yeah, no.
No, we triple measured. So
okay, good.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, guys, thanks so much. And thank you, Ryan. And we'll see you next time.